This DETV special presentation is brought to you by Del One Federal Credit Union, helping members reach their goals since 1960. What's going on, everybody? It's your main man, Big Iv, the talk of the town, Mr. DETVCH.com. And I am here today because one thing that you know that we want to do here at DETV is to make sure that the community is informed about everything that's going on, from how to obtain good health and good wealth, but most of all, making you better. So I'm here today and we're talking about, what is it? Go to the wide shot for them. Boom. Financial literacy, right? So I'm sitting here with the man, the Brandon Rogers, MBA, one of the most talented minds I know, gifted minds that I know. Brandon, what's happening?
No, that's too kind of you, Ivan. But yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on, and it's a good topic. Talking about financial literacy, I think there's a lot of stigma around it. I think people, it's hard to digest, and there are ways to break those barriers down. I think you make it easy, talk about it in a simple way, but make people detach the anxiety away from it. That's the point.
Yeah, and that's what we'll do today. We'll sit, we're live, Q&A, add your questions in there. We'll read them out on TV, on live, and we'll just dig into it. That cool?
That sounds great.
Okay, so what is your definition, Brandon, of financial literacy?
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything else. Someone who becomes a good runner, right? They study the hills they're running. They study the shoes that they're running in. When you've got a house and you've got children, it's easy to dive into it. But when you're young and you're getting your way started, financial literacy is just reading up, right? It's telling your child at 7 years old to read a book before bed. And this is no different. It's figuring out what's income, what does that mean, how much do you need to live, what's your definition of living, those are the expenses, and figuring out if there's anything left over, what to do with it, right? So financial literacy is nothing more than the information and application of that information for your financial well-being.
All right. So with that being said, okay, we have a community. We have, say, Family A, right? Family A, they need to get on track. They know nothing. They have no clue about money management, credit, where buying a car. What is the first thing that they need to know, or that we can teach right now?
Be honest with you, that's a good place to start. And I'll tell you, a lot of people try to jump in the middle. It's good to get yourself back to that start and a white slate. The first conversation is, what do you make, right? So what do you do? What do you make? What's coming in that you feel comfortable as a steady stream of income? That's part A. It's a 3-step process, very simple. Okay. What do you make, right? Part B is, how much do you spend? Now it's figuring out, what do you need to spend versus what is discretional spending. So there's a part B1 and part B2, right? All right. And C is, if there is anything left over, how do we use it the most efficient way possible? But this all plays, Ivan, into the concept of habit. You go to the gym, it's a habit. You breathe in and out every day and you practice meditation, it's a habit. Okay. Financial literacy,
it's a habit.
It's a habit. It's a way of living.
I'm talking about Family A, right? We're like, no discipline. Okay. They got discipline. The first thing that they need to know is like where you are, right? Sure. So how much, and where you are, how much money do you make?
Sure. Yep.
Okay.
How much money do you have? And the bigger part of that is, it's easy to measure out what's coming in, right? But break it down and say, this is what's coming in, this is what we're comfortable with, but start with a piece of paper. Here's this number, right? If it's $1,000 a month, here's $1,000. And right after that, here's what I have to spend to keep my house going, to keep my food going. Be simple. Okay. Start simply and then add those things up that are extras. But start with defining what's coming in, and then what do you need to live? What is simple to live?
Now, dig a little deeper in that for me. Sure. What do you need to live?
Sure. So this is like anything else. When I got married, my wife and I lived in a townhome. We rented. We were both doing graduate school, and we did not have a lot of income. We found that in retrospect was some of the happiest times of our life, because one, you're not distracted by things that money brings, right? But two, you understand that to live is a very simple thing. You need the basic needs physiologically. I need food. I need shelter. I need transportation. Anything more than that, and you're just adding to your life. And I'm not saying those things are bad things, but being able to differentiate what it is that you need to live, breathe, and be part of your community in a positive way. And then what are the things that you want to maybe use money as a tool to affect better change? Yeah.
So I like that because it also it brings us to like separating your needs and your wants.
Right.
So you really got to sit down and be like, okay, what do I need to survive versus do I want that new Gucci belt?
Well, let me say it like this. My wife and I are avid into fitness.
Right.
We can go 3 times a week to the gym, right? I know that is my benchmark. That's my bread and my water.
Okay.
And that keeps me healthy and maintenanced.
Right.
But if I go 4 days a week, I'm improving. Incrementally, I'm improving. If I go 5 days a week, I'm making leaps and bounds every week, right? Okay. So that habit of saying, I want to gain this, or I want to be this fit, that's a gym habit. Financial habits are no different. I want to have X number of dollars in the savings account at the end of the year. Good. Every week, look at your budget and say, I'm taking 10% of everything that's left over, and I'm putting it in a bank account to forget about it.
Okay. All right. So 1, budgeting, 2, savings.
Sure.
Right. So with budget, know where you are, separate your wants from your needs, with like what you need to survive, right? And then you said every week you should take a percentage of.
A percentage of. So 10%. The rule that I've stuck with my entire life is 10, 10, 30. So I'll make it simple, and this is a good takeaway for the viewers, right? If you make $1, every dollar you make, 10 cents should go into a savings account. Forget about it. 10 cents, in my mind, is community outreach. Whatever that is for you. You could use your church, you could use, charity, community, but it's some kind of outreach. It's my way, my wife's way, the viewers' ways of saying we're giving back because we've been blessed. That 30%, that's the tax guy. He's coming forward anyway. You might as well prepare for it. All right? So 10, 10, 30. Get used to living off of 50% of what you bring in.
Okay. All right. That is okay. Go ahead. I'm listening.
So we'll say 10, 10, 30, and then 50. So when you're forecasting, now a lot of these people that are viewers, they have jobs and they're taking the taxes out already. So you can do the 10, 10, and then the 80. That works the same way because they're already accounting for the taxes. Okay. But in that case, and most of our viewers have jobs that take taxes out for you. They're W-2s and they're employees of someone else. Take that money that comes out of your bank or comes into your bank and say 10% of it goes into a savings account.
Okay.
10% of it, it's going to invest in the community because I am grateful for where I am. Gratitude is an attitude, and that attitude breathes life. This is all about community impact. Yeah. The concept of this education, financial literacy, is making people feel like they can breathe easier. People who breathe easier, they live better, they're happier. That's contagious. That's for me, that's what this is all about. So then you take that 50%, that covers your needs.
Right.
I can live in the house, we've got lights on, we're able to take care of this sport or these things that we want to do to stay active. Anything excess, if there is excess, anything excess sits in a pot and we deal with that later. The money that you need to spend right now, get comfortable with it. So I would tell the viewers, take that 50%. And if you can have extra money left over, stay there. Live beneath your means.
Okay.
Those 3 words, live beneath, 4 words, I'm sorry.
Now, what does that mean?
What
does it mean again? Rewind selector?
Sure. Live beneath your means. Your means are, and again, we are defining the terms. The terms are, what is it that I need to live? What is it that I need to breathe, to eat, to function, to serve my family, to serve my community? Do I need an Audi to get to work, or does a Honda work? Great. If a Honda works, right? Does a 20-year-old Honda work?
Okay.
All right. You figure out what it is that's important to you. When you realize that the things around you, you're content in the things around you, the excess ends up becoming just that. It's excess. It becomes a vehicle, a tool you use to benefit the people around you. Money is a tool. It is not something to chase. It is not something to. It is a tool. Just like your body and your muscles are tools for you to be able to move day in and day out. Money is a construct that you use as a tool to bless the people around you. Literacy, information, knowledge, it's a tool.
So at the very beginning, we should change our psychology about what money is.
Yes. It's all about, and I'm glad you said that. So we're taught, we're indoctrinated from the very beginning of money is an allowance. The allowance is you do chores, you get money. Somewhere along the way, the concept is not about the reward of doing chores and doing well, and there's a byproduct that is fiscal, financial. It becomes chase the money. And I've been there. I understand. I've lived it. I've watched it. It's been indoctrinated to me through school, through college. This
through
is what
media.
Through media.
Yeah.
Everything you look at, this equates to this. You're finding in post-COVID, you're seeing this more and more. People aren't interested in the excess. They're feeling and they're understanding that simplicity brings more happiness because the distraction's gone.
Right.
So financial literacy is saying, all right, people are just wondering how to be happy. That one question is the most sought out question anybody's looking to answer.
Right.
Financial literacy is one way to get at it. So remove away the barriers of thinking that you're chasing money. You're not chasing money. You're trying to figure out how to meet your basic needs so that you can do what makes you happy.
All right. There's a part in the budget where a lot of people might not understand, and that is the variable expenses versus fixed expenses. Can you break that down?
Absolutely. So let's say I'm just out of college. Okay. I need a place to stay. I know rent's coming, right? There's gotta get an apartment. So rent's $1,000 a month. It's fixed. You know what it's going to be. You know that if you don't pay it, you don't have a place to stay. So in your budget, that is a fixed cost. It's not going to go anywhere. And fixed means it's fixed. It's not changing, right?
Right.
Variable costs are something like how much I spend going to the movies. All right. I can go to the movies and I love the movies. I can make an excuse to go to the movies 3 times a week because I love movies. Or I look to say I could spend $10 or $30. And if I go once a week, I got $20 extra to do something else with. Save it.
That you put back into that budget.
Put it back into that budget. I save it. So when we talk about cost containment, we talk about reducing expenses. You look at, I can guarantee everybody watching right now, everyone watching is going to say, this is how much I need to live. If we sat down one-on-one and I looked at your expenses, strip 20% of it right away, get it gone. And you're not going to miss it. That's the best part.
Right.
You don't even know that you're spending the extra 20%. It's just a habit that you've been working through and it's been indoctrinated into your whole life.
Right. So is that when people put money aside, one of the questions that I just saw is, when should I pay myself?
Sure. So
and how do I?
So again, it's flipping the script. It's reframing your mindset. So when can I pay myself? So whatever, if you're self-employed or if you have been working and burning out.
Well, say they're not self-employed.
Okay,
say they get they're full-time FTE, right? And they work for somebody.
Yep.
And how do they get that check?
Yep.
What should they do with that initial check?
Take care of the things, as we mentioned, that the rent check, the water bill, the grocery bill. Take all the things you knew, again, meet your basic needs.
Right.
And then start removing all the distractions of all the other money that you spent and figure out, am I good here, right? You can pay yourself, but the question shouldn't be, when do I, again, you're framing it chasing money. You're not chasing money, you're chasing happiness. So change the object that you're chasing, right? Move money out of it and say, all right, what is it to be happy? Remove all the money outside of it, apart from the things that meet your needs, and say, am I happy right now? I could be happier with X, Y, and Z, but am I happy right now? It's changing the psychology of thinking that money is what brings the happiness. That's not what it brings. Money has actually nothing to do with happiness. People are made to think that bringing the money in allows for more happiness to come, brings better things. The reality is there's just more distractions. There's nothing wrong with money. There's nothing wrong with having it. There's nothing wrong with blessing other people with it, but don't equate it with contentment. They're very different things. In fact, I would argue that a lot of the great role models I've seen, Warren Buffett, people will know Warren Buffett, the 3rd richest person on the planet. That man has been living on a shoestring budget, and he'll tell you about it since he was 14 years old. He only gives this much, or he only spends this much on himself because he knows contentment does not equate to money. So he can be worth hundreds of billions of dollars, but it does not matter because for him, contentment rests in the happiness, the people, the things that you do.
Yeah. And that is a whole new lifestyle change. So your financial lifestyle change along with your health lifestyle change should just breed a better person.
Sure.
Savings, right? Yep. So let's jump back on the savings. How the correct way for someone should save.
So the concept is, and this is an important thing for people to take away, 3 to 6 months of your basic need expenses should be sitting in an account somewhere. Okay, so
just in case something happens.
Just in case COVID happens, and there is no stimulus check coming.
Right.
Just in case something like that happens. What happened, and this is indicative of exactly what I'm saying. What happened as soon as COVID happened? What happened to the mortgage industry? They started saying to everybody, "We'll give you a reprieve. We're going to give you 12 months. Don't worry about your mortgage," right? Because it was uncertain. Yeah. People became comfortable not spending that $1,500 to $3,000.
They hit me with it, right?
I understand.
They hit me with it.
And for me, I'm looking at it and thinking, if I can deploy that capital for 12 months doing something else, I'm going to. Now, what they don't talk about is how they curtail, how they make that interest flow in the back end of that load.
Let me tell you something. When I saw that, because I got it and I was like, shoot, I don't gotta pay my rent, my mortgage for this whole thing. Then it's like, always look at that, always look at that bottom line. Is that paperwork in the back? Is it really about this high?
That's right.
And they were gonna take all the interest and put it to the back end of the loan.
Sure.
Right?
That's right.
Oh my God.
And so you're just paying it, kick it down the road. But you asked, savings.
Yeah.
Savings, there's a little bit associated with security. It's being smart, fiscally sound. So keep a chunk in there just in case. It's for the car that breaks down. It's for the, sister-in-law or the son or the mother or the grandparent that needs X. You're able to do that. But then you get into savings. It's a little bit more sophisticated. You've got smarter savings with certificates of deposit, money markets that are a little bit more liquid. And then you can get into stock market investing and things like that. But ultimately, I would tell you that whatever it is that you're doing, keep your savings level, keep an emergency fund. That should be your first focus. Anything that's in excess of that goes into these vehicles. But again, it's important to say, you'll never get to the excess if you don't live beneath your means.
Okay.
I can't reiterate that enough. It's not overstated enough.
I got a question in the box that says, what is debt to income ratio and how does someone calculate that? And with that, and part two, I'll give you part two when you finish.
Sure. All right. So debt to income is it's a banking term. Banks typically look at this for businesses and their financial health, but it's ultimately how much debt do I have versus how much income. So let's use round numbers. Let's say I bring in $100 a month. And my debt per month is $150 a month, okay? Or let's do it the other way. Let's say my debt is $50 a month and my income is $100. You simply say that the debt to income, 50 cents of every dollar has debt, the other 50 is equity. The other 50 cents is equity. So you're looking at a debt to equity or debt to income ratio as wanting to be less than 1. Right?
Less than 1.
Less than 1.
Okay.
So if it's less than 1, it means that your amount of money out is less than the money that comes in. Anything over than 1 saying that you're overspending, right? So you can build in a whole lot of different barriers and ways to talk about that or define those terms. But at the end of the day, same debt to equity, debt to asset. These are getting into more business-focused acumen. But at the end of the day, anything less than 1 is what we consider healthy. You can actually be too healthy on a debt to income.
Can you?
You can. And I'll use debt to equity, for example. In business, people say, have less than 1. But I just got done turning around a business a year and a half ago, and their debt to equity ratio was 2.3, which means for every dollar of equity they had 2.3% debt, or $2.3 of debt. That's not good. It's very unhealthy. Highly leveraged in the business world, they call it. But the other way around, we reworked it, we restructured it, and at the end of the day, their debt to equity was 0.18. So that means that they had almost a 6x multiple for every dollar of debt. They almost had $6 of equity, which is huge. However, that means to tell me that you're not deploying your capital well.
Right.
You've got $5 extra that's just sitting there. And you're not doing anything smart with it.
Right.
So that's where, when you have too much excess, that complacency and understanding more of the sophisticated investment is relevant.
Now, what institutions use debt to income ratios to give you a decision on?
Sure. So any commercial bank. I mean, most of the time when you're looking to get a home loan, when you're going, and if you're a small business and you're trying to get up off the ground, and you're trying to get a working capital line of credit, they'll look at your debt to equity, your debt to income, your debt to asset. There's a lot of different ways to define the positive asset, equity, income. But the debt too is a structured thing, right? There's levered debt. There's debt that is private equity debt, investment debt. There's all kinds of different ways to look at that. But at the end of the day, banking institutions are interested in knowing how levered are you, how encumbered are you by other people's money to make decisions.
Right.
And you want to be unencumbered but other people's money. That's the idea.
Have you always been like into finance?
No, to be honest with you, I think when I grew up, I thought I was going to be the next American novelist. I wanted to write. I wanted to be interested. I was interested in communicating to people, loving on people, finding a way to make my story, the background I have, to inspire others. It just so happens that numbers,
That's your thing.
It's my thing, and it was not something I anticipated, but it ended up being a really good vehicle. And so yes, from the time I turned 19 years old, numbers became very fluid for me. And since then, it's been all about how do we use numbers to tell stories. And at the end of the day, and especially for the viewers, I can have all the ratios and all of the quick computations in my head all day long. If I can't tell a story that's applicable to them, that makes it something they can take away and affect good change in their life, it doesn't matter. It's in my head.
What is it about financial freedom that does it for you? And why should it be important to average Joe?
So I would say literacy in general, the concept of literacy when we come with books. If you ask somebody else, is it good to be well read? Is it good to know how to read? What's the answer?
Wow.
Everybody will tell you invariably.
Yeah.
Of course you should know how to read.
Yeah.
That's no different financially. Of course you should understand your finances. So when you know how to read, you feel like the world is more open to you. When you feel like you're not constricted by the weight of financial burden or not understanding it, the world becomes more open to you.
Yeah.
It's easier to breathe. There's more possibility. That possibility is where you start to bleed into affecting other people's lives to change and make impact. For me, that's what gets me going, is to say, how can I come alongside you, take the financial anxiety and move it alongside, make you sustainable, and then allow you to do what it is that you've been gifted to do and to do it well.
All right. Look, there you have it. Brandon, thank you so much. See you next week.
You bet.
Next week, tune in and make sure you tune in next week. Next week, we might talk about credit. I don't know, or buying your first car and what to look out for. But here on DETV's Financial Literacy 101 Q&A, like, you could just drop the line and we'll make sure we answer it all the time. See what I did there? See what I did there? I did that. All right. Brandon, thanks a lot, man.
You bet.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. No, we'll be right back. We'll check you next time on DETV's Financial Literacy. If you got any questions, put it in the comment. We'll make sure we answer them. All right? We'll get back to you.